Hello and welcome. Today we are going to look at the upcoming changes in 1.30, the 1.30 patch for EU4. 6 years after the game was released, the 1.30 promises a lot of things. This patch and expansion is basically going to be an overhaul for the whole game, and I'm super excited to see so many changes to it. This video is going to be a long one, so strap in and let's go see what we know so far from the dev diaries. First of all, there are a ton of map changes. France looks a bit different. Northern Italy got some provinces added to it. So did Southern Italy. Some new things going on in the Balkans, and there are also new provinces and tags in the Germany region. We will go into a bit more detail with relevant sections starting with Germany and the surrounding region. Here is the new Germany map. I'm kidding, that's Voltaire's Nightmare mod and you can play it if your PC can handle that. Here is the actual map of the new German region. First up, Bavaria has been divided into multiple tags: Munich, Ingolstadt, Landshut and Dortmund. Playing as one of the Bavarian states will give you an event to unite Bavaria under one name. And if you can unite them all, the newly formed Bavaria is going to be bigger and stronger than the one in current patch. Nearby, Switzerland has been split as per the historical 3 leagues, so it seems Switzerland has been divided into 2 or maybe 3 different tags. Plus, a couple of provinces are split to make new provinces here. Saxony will have more provinces too. It is also now divided into 2 tags, Saxony and Thuringia, where Thuringia will start as a PU under Saxony. However, there will be some scripted bad events with Saxony which will make it difficult to keep Thuringia as a subject. The area of Franconia has seen some changes as well. Würzburg has an extra province now and will start with a vassal under them. This vassal, Bamberg, is also a new tag. Similarly, Ansbach also starts with a new PU subject of Bayreuth, which is also a new tag. More importantly though, now there is a new formable tag of Franconia in this region if you can manage to unite the Franconian lands. Moving a bit south, Bohemia now has a few more provinces. Lusatia has been divided into 3 different provinces, which now belong to a new area called Lusatia, which is also a releasable tag now. Silesia now also has additional provinces and it's now a formable tag. So now, for whatever reason, if you want to play as Silesia while not starting as Silesia, you can do that. Why anyone would do that, I have no idea. Brandenburg to the north now has an additional province, and the Sale of Neumark event that happens with the Teutonic Order will give you 2 provinces instead of 1. Pomerania is no more. It has been divided into 2 tags, Wolgast in the west and Stettin in the east. There are a couple of new provinces here, one of which, Rügen, is a releasable tag and can go pirate. And of course, if you control all of Pomerania region, you can form the nation of Pomerania again. Maybe a pirate Pomerania playthrough is on the card soon. Cologne to the west has a new province of Paderborn, which is also a releasable tag, and we have a new tag of Berg, who owns 3 provinces which are not connected. That's just Bordergore in 1444. New provinces has also been added for Mecklenburg, Magdeburg, Braunschweig, Verden, Baden, Württemberg, Mainz and Palatinate. So clearly the province count in Central Europe is going to increase significantly. The tag of Ravensburg has now been renamed and so has been Alsace. There are also new tags of Berg that we saw earlier and another one with Mulhouse. There's also a new culture in the region, the culture of Lower Saxon, which is split off from Westphalian culture. So now the formable tags of Hanover can be formed with Lower Saxon culture and the tag of Westphalia can be formed with Westphalian culture. New mission trees are also going to be released with the new update, and it's very likely that they will be part of the DLC and not the free patch as we have seen in the past. There are new mission trees for Bavaria, Saxony, Brandenburg, Prussia and Dithmarschen. I really like mission trees as they add a unique flavor to any country and makes it more fun to play. So we'll definitely look at those mission trees when the patch is out. Next, let's head over to the region of Italy. This is the new Italy map, and let's take a closer look at northern Italy. We have a new province of Como in Milan. Romania has been replaced by the province of Ravenna, which is controlled by Venice, and the Pope has a core on it. So that might just mean that Venice is going to get sandwiched between the Ottomans and the Pope and allies attacking them early. There is also a new province of Bologna, which also is a new tag in this region. It's the Republic of Bologna. Similarly, southern Italy has seen some minor map changes as well. Sardinia has an extra province now, but more importantly, there is a new decision where you can form the Kingdom of Two Sicilies, which will be uniting Naples and Sicily regions, I think. There are a few more new tags coming in. We have a new bishopric of Trent, Saluzzo in the west, a couple of new revolter tags in Padua and Verona, and a new releasable tag of Spoleto. The northern Italy map also has some changes to the impassable terrain, which we will see more of when the patch comes out. As with Germany, Italian nations now also have new mission trees, which are sorely lacking right now. We have new mission trees for Italy as a whole, a lot of new flavor for Florence, who has a mission tree now focusing more on tall play. Florence now has a new government type, the Signoria government, which is a republic. It's a republic where royal marriages are allowed. Florence also has a new disaster, Bonfire of the Vanities, and the Savonarola event chain is updated as well. So it seems like Florence will be more fun to play in the new patch. Milan will also have a new mission tree along with new events related to the Ambrosian Republic, and Venice gets a new mission tree too. I'm not going over the mission trees in detail right now, as we will know more about them when the patch comes out, but if you want to read about them, I'll leave a link in description and you can read through all the dev diaries. Next, let's go to France, which has seen some drastic changes and people are wondering how the balance would work here, because France is now divided into its vassals. I mean, to me that just looks like heck lot of more border gore in 1444. France will have 5 vassals, the duchies of Orléans, Bourbonnais, Auvergne, Armagnac, and Foix. By the way, if you haven't picked it up yet, I have been butchering all the province names so far, so please don't be offended if I have butchered your city name, it is not by choice. In older EU patches, France was actually divided similarly, and the devs have decided to go back to it. And if you are wondering how this vassal swarm will be balanced, well, your guess is as good as mine, because the devs have decided to keep it under wraps for now. Having so many vassals can be tricky. Does France start with maxed out Diplo relations now, or do these vassals are special in that they don't count towards Diplo relation slots? Does having so many vassals at the start means more army for France, which might be used to roll over Castile early game? There are many questions here, and we'll just have to wait and see what the devs do. You might also notice there are some new provinces in France as well. Nearby, Savoy has a new vassal in Geneva, and so we have another new tag. While in the Low Countries we have a couple of new provinces, we have new areas in North and South Brabant, and we have a new culture, the Frisian culture. France and nations in the region also have a new mission tree, and that is one long French mission tree. There are a ton of new events associated with it. There are expansionist missions, there are development missions, there are colonial missions, even a mission for American independence later in game. Seems like a lot of new flavor for France, and again, if you want to read more on it, check out the dev diary. The devs do a good job of explaining the historical context for most changes. Savoy also gets a long new mission tree with a lot of flavor events, from changing culture to some religion events like making the anti-pope Felix. Savoy also gets a historical CB on Cyprus and a PU CB on France. Savoy is looking pretty spicy actually, and usually with Savoy you can form the Kingdom of Sardinia Piedmont, which has a beautiful turquoise color by the way. In the new patch, Sardinia Piedmont will have a new set of national ideas, and they look fairly decent actually. Provence also has a new mission tree, and it will follow King René's titular titles of King of Jerusalem and King of Naples, so Provence is also going to be very interesting to play in the new patch. And then there are new Dutch missions where the mission tree also looks fairly extensive. All this more flavor is great and really makes me excited about everything here. Next up is the Balkan region. You can see new provinces here obviously, so the province density has increased, but the total development is supposed to stay mostly the same, and that's true for most of the map changes that we have seen so far. One important thing that jumps out for me is the new province of Gelibolu, which means Edirne is not a coastal province anymore, and it looks like it will be a level 1 fort. So Ottomans go from having a coastal level 3 capital fort to a level 1 capital fort. That to me is an immense change. Then this might mean that we see Ottomans lose wars more easily. There are also new provinces in the Bulgaria region. And going to Greece, we now have a new tag of Epirus, which also owns a new island province. Corfu though does not exist anymore. Corfu still has a core on the island, so doing the Corfu achievement after the patch will require a slightly different approach. And the fans of Byzantium will be happy because now they have an additional province as well. Also, Genoa now has 2 provinces in the Aegean Sea. Western Balkans also has seen some changes. There are obviously more provinces here, with Venice getting a couple of extra ones. So does Albania, who now starts with 2 provinces instead of 1. There is a brand new tag here, the Kingdom of Herzegovina, which starts with 2 provinces. It will be a tricky start to keep them alive, but it could make for a very interesting playthrough. Also, some of you might have noticed the Croatian purple is here. Croatia now starts under PU of Hungary in 1444, so if Hungary loses wars early, Croatia might become independent, or if Hungary goes under PU with Austria, Croatia will get automatically integrated into Hungary. With all these changes, Western Balkans seem a lot more lively now, and starting as one of the minors here, you might have more chance to stay alive by eating up other minor neighbors before you go toe-to-toe against the big powers in the region. Looking at the missions in Balkans, Serbia has a new mission tree now, which can help you reclaim the lost glory of the Serbian Empire. There are also new mission trees for Crusader states, which are Knights, Cyprus, Epirus, Athens, Naxos, and Jerusalem, where you can reclaim the Holy Land. And something about the Ark of the Covenant. Crusader states also now get a new government type, the Crusader state government, and we will look more into it when the patch comes out. I'm just glad to see Jerusalem get some flavor with the new government type and a new mission tree with more events. Next, let's jump into Austria. Austria, one of the superpowers in Europe, now starts with even more provinces. And unlike France, they aren't divided into vassals. If you notice, the province of Tyrol is gone and replaced by a couple of new ones, and we'll see which one gets the gold mine. Along with a new 1 province minor nearby, the bishopric of Trent. Province of Carnton is now split into 2, and another new 1 province minor of Selly is here as well. The province of Linz in north has been split, and even the capital province of Wien is split in 2 provinces. So that does change the province density significantly. There's also the new impassable terrain between North Italy and Austria, and we have a new culture, the Slovene culture in South Austria. Austria also gets a new mission tree, and you might think that Austria is already strong enough that it doesn't need the help of a mission tree for expansion, but the devs have said that it's not all about expansion, and there are some cool new events with new missions. As Austria, you can now also change the government type to Imperial Austrian Monarchy. And we won't get into all the modifiers here, as that might change before the patch release, because I think Austria will need some more balancing. Right now, they seem really overpowered in this region. And that's most of the map changes coming in the next patch. Next, we have some changes to gameplay mechanics coming in, but before we get into that, let's quickly take a look at some of the flavor changes to some nations. Starting with Naples. Naples will have a new Neapolitan succession event chain. So right now, Naples starts under PU of Aragon. In the new patch, when the King of Aragon dies, Naples will get an option to whether continue as PU subject or not, and AI will likely choose not to continue. This would mean an independent Naples early on, but then Naples will also be more vulnerable to conquests, especially since now Aragon, Spain, and France will get PUCBs on Naples. So I think Naples will be a super interesting start for players, and I personally haven't done the couple of achievements that you can do as Naples, so you guys can look forward to a Naples playthrough on this channel when the new patch is out. Naples also gets an event chain in the Age of Absolutism where you can convert to a republic, and of course Naples will have a new mission tree where you can go for uniting the Kingdom of Two Sicilies and expand in and beyond Italy. Next is Hungary. We already saw that Hungary will now start with Croatia as a PU subject. There is also a more detailed mission tree for Hungary. It will have a lot of events, conditions where Hungary can become part of HRE and get electorate. Hungary can also get PUs on Bohemia and Poland, which makes me question what happens if Poland already has Lithuania under PU. Because imagine a Hungary with Bohemia, Poland, and Lithuania under PU. I mean, that's just game over for everyone else, right? Hungary also has new events related to the Hungarian Black Army, including a new government reform for hiring Mercs. The biggest change in Hungary though is a new trade node. That's right, Pest is now a trade node, which will certainly mean a lot more trade income for Hungary. So Hungary is going to be richer, will have cheaper Mercs, and will be stronger with potential PUs. Sounds like something I would like for a longer playthrough in the coming patch. There is another change to the trade nodes in the Mediterranean Sea, where Genoa trade node was becoming too big. So now there is a new trade node of Valencia, which will connect Sevilla and Genoa nodes. Genoa trade node is still an end node and it will still be super rich, but adding Valencia node here will mean some interesting new strategies. For example, France has a few provinces in the Valencia trade node, and it might mean taking over Aragon early could be a priority. The new patch also promises some changes to type of government reforms. We have already seen some of them. Additionally, England can now get a new government type in Protectorate Parliament if England chooses to side with the parliamentarians during the English Civil War. This government will not have elections, but it will have parliament enabled and a higher absolutism cap than republics. Then there is the new Junker Stratocracy, unique to Prussia, where the ruler is succeeded by the nation's best general. So sort of like a military dictatorship. This government type will have very high absolutism cap and some changes to the underused militarization mechanic. And now you can also take high admiralty as a government type if you have completed naval ideas. So non-pirate nations can feel more like pirates without all the piracy, and it gives us a reason to take naval ideas. Maybe. Alright, let's get into the meat of the gameplay mechanic changes finally. Starting with HRE. First up, HRE has some new free cities, and the 3 bishop electors, Cologne, Mainz and Trier, will get their own idea set, which is great. If these ideas are better than the generic divine ideas is a different question though, they seem fairly comparable. These bishop electors also get some new missions, not a whole new mission tree, but just a few additional missions. Palatinate also gets a new mission tree, which is not super extensive one, but it is still bigger than the one with the 3 bishop electors. The most exciting change for HRE is the new reform system. Now the reforms are divided into general reforms, which are mostly similar to the current ones, decentralized reforms and centralized reforms. So after you pass the 5th general reform, you can choose to go either of 2 directions, decentralized or centralized. So it's basically either keeping the vassal swarm alive or uniting the HRE. It seems it will be no longer possible to do both. Each of the decentralized and centralized paths will have 5 more reforms. We don't know what they are yet, so we'll just have to wait till patch release, I guess. Another big mechanic change is the introduction of imperial incidents. Basically, as emperor, you can now interfere in several events that happen in and around HRE. For example, when the Burgundian inheritance fires. The Burgundian inheritance itself has now been reworked. Burgundy can now be inherited by any Christian nation that has a royal marriage, and when the inheritance event fires, Burgundy will get a choice to either side with France or HRE or a third strong ally and fight for its independence. If Burgundy chooses to side with HRE, the emperor will get an imperial incident where you can choose to either give France its due share or keep all of Burgundy for the empire. Obviously, this will mean bad relations with France for the foreseeable future. So as an emperor, you will get more say on what happens with imperial incidents. There will be similar imperial incidents for Shadow Kingdom event, for Dutch revolts, and so on. And you will be able to view these imperial incidents on the HRE interface, so you will know what the emperor has done in the past. Changes to mercenary system is the biggest change to game coming in the next patch. And I've said this before, that mercs are currently a broken mechanic in game and I exploit them a lot. With the new changes, mercs will follow more of an Imperator Rome format or a bit like CK2 format if you have played either of those games. Now you will be hiring mercenary companies rather than individual units. You can hire either local or foreign companies. The size of merc armies will depend on your development, and there are some foreign merc companies that will have special modifiers such as the Swiss Guard, the Frisian Free Company or Navajo Raiders, among others. These special foreign companies will each have different costs and modifiers. The merc companies on a whole will be a bit cheaper than the current merc cost. However, and this is the change that makes mercs a bit more balanced, mercs won't have unlimited manpower. Each company will have their own separate manpower pool like you see here. This is a fundamental change to gameplay and it's going to force a lot of strategy changes in the new patch. Mercs will also stay at 100% maintenance at all times, so now keeping a standing merc army isn't viable, at least in early game. One downside to all these changes is that you won't be able to split or merge merc companies, which is not great in my opinion, and I hope devs do something about that. There's also likely to be a base manpower increase across the board and some changes to army related buildings to counter this significant nerf to the merc mechanics. Moving on to estates. We all know estates need a change because currently estates are boring. You just click a few buttons every few years and you get few monarch points. That's all they are really used for. Plus the worst thing, at least for me, is the micro-intensive work to give provinces to estates. All that is gone now. Estates won't have the provinces anymore. Instead, you can give away crown land to estates to increase their influence and power. So now you have this arbitrary crown land and you can just give it to estates and keep the estates happy and use their influence to get some modifiers, which might be similar to the modifiers that we have right now. We don't know all the modifiers yet, so we'll just have to wait till patch release. Regardless, I really like this change and we'll just have to wait and see how it plays in game. Catholic religion mechanics are famously considered one of the weakest in game, and this is an attempt by the devs to fix it. First of all, there will be a curia treasury which will collect tithes from Catholic countries. This will be based on crown lands controlled by clergy estate. Nations can pay directly to the curia treasury, and nations can also buy indulgences by paying tithes. This treasury will not be controlled by any nation, but the Curia controller will be able to dip into it. This makes becoming the Curia controller more important, and Papal State will certainly gain a lot more power in the new patch. Pope can now also appoint cardinals and get some diplomatic bonuses. The Curia controller can also pass a bull reform once per tenure. There are different modifiers you can get, and it will cost 1000 ducats from the Curia treasury modified by the reform desire. I really like how this new Catholic change ties into both reformation and the new clergy estate mechanics. Also now cardinals will be visible on the map, which is a welcome change, and the Kingdom of God decision won't disable Curia. Although I hope they add a bit more to the Kingdom of God decision. But overall, I like the changes to Catholicism. It's not going to be one of the strongest religion in game, but it certainly adds a lot more flavor to playing Catholic countries. And finally, the last big change is to revolutions. Currently, firing a revolution is very one-dimensional. You just take a ton of loans, get some rebels, and boom, you eventually become a revolutionary republic. With the new patch, it's going to be a bit more complicated. Now, the revolution might fire if you have a lot of absolutism, a lot of development, high revanchism, low prestige, or a lot of debt. And if the revolution gets ticking, you will get a center of revolution, sort of like a center of reformation. So the revolutionary ideas will spread out from the center of revolution, and if you get to 100%, you can embrace a revolution and become a revolutionary nation. This will be a slow process though, and it seems there still is the quick way of firing a revolutionary disaster. The disaster is a bit different now, and you will get new events where you can choose to either support the revolutionaries or become reactionary and remain a monarchy. Once you become a revolutionary republic, you will get access to factions and revolutionary target perks that are currently in game. You will also get a new feature of revolutionary zeal, which basically replaces absolutism, in that it will give admin efficiency, government reform progress, and reinforcement rate modifiers. You will also need to keep your revolutionary zeal high, or you might lose the revolutionary target perks to another nation who has more revolutionary zeal. Revolutionary nations will also have new government reforms now. This all is a big change to the revolution mechanic, and it might convince some players to keep playing late game. Maybe. Because in addition to all these mechanics changes, Revolution will also have separate flavor events for all major countries, and now Revolution can start anywhere, not just Europe. I think it's time to play as Revolutionary Aztecs or maybe a Revolutionary Ming. We'll figure it out when the new patch and expansion are released. This has been a long video, and I just gave you guys the bullet points. If you want to read about all the things we discussed in here in detail, link to dev diaries are in description. I skipped a few changes just to save time, such as potential changes to the macro builder, changes to true screens, and other quality of life changes. And bear in mind, this is only the changes we know about up till December. I'm sure we are going to see further changes to trade companies and corruption from territories in the next dev diary in January. I'm really looking forward to it, and I'm looking forward to this new expansion and patch. We still don't know when it's going to be released, but my guess is maybe March 2020? It's been a while since we had a DLC in EU4, so I would be prepared to shell out some serious cash on this one. This is just speculation, by the way, this is not official news, but I also think this might be the last EU4 DLC. But we will know more about this huge expansion in coming months, and you can check this channel again for more updates on that. You should also join in my Discord, where we discuss every dev diary released, and we also do some fun bi-weekly challenges in EU4. Link to all that in description as well. And that is all from my side on the new expansion changes until we hear more from the devs. Until then, thank you for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.